Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these baby mittens from newborn to 3 months, from a 3 to 6 and then a 6 to 12. They're all the same pattern, all the same increases and everything else, just different yarn. So for this one I've used a Peter Pan DK weight yarn, which is quite thin. Here's the strand, because I'm going to make the other one to that in this tutorial. So you can see it's one of the thinner type DKs. I've had some 4-ply, which is a sport weight yarn, across the pond, and that's been this thickness. So it is one of the thinner traditional kind of baby DK yarns. So I'm using a 3.5mm crochet hook to make this small one. Now with this one I still used a DK weight yarn, but as you can see the strand on it is more of a traditional kind of DK weight. Now there's not a massive amount of difference in them, but you can see there is some in it. So this was more like a 4-ply or a very thin DK. This was a traditional kind of DK weight yarn, and I used, let me see, just bear with me, I'll get my chart. I made myself a little chart. So I used a 4.5mm crochet hook for that one, and for this one I used a 5, I believe. Yes, I did. I used a 5mm, and this was made with Stylecraft Special Aran. So that was the kind of way I increased my sizing. Now I've done a simple scallop kind of Pico edge on this one because mine are for a baby boy, so I didn't want them too girly and too intricate. I wanted a nice close stitch because of little fingers. They're kind of little scratch mittens as well. And this one I'm going to make the pair for this, so just bear with me while I clear all this stuff away, and I'll come back to you in a second. But in the meantime, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Okay, so I have my hook and my yarn. Now for this I make a magic loop. If you're not familiar with the magic loop or you can't do it, that's fine. You can just do 2 chain and working over the tail, do your stitches in the first chain. But the way I do mine is extremely simple. So I'm going to leave a nice long tail for you then. So I'm going to make a loop, just a simple loop, and put the yarn through the loop, put it on my hook, and then you've done it basically. Make 1 chain and there you are, your magic loop. Sometimes I do that with my hook, so I'll make my loop, pop the hook in, and bring the yarn through there, through the loop, and make a chain, and you've done it. Okay, so now in our ring, working over the tail, I'm going to do what we call in the UK half treble, and in the US they're half double crochets. So I'm going to do 12 in this ring, working over the tail. So that's ever so simple, just half treble or half double US, and I'm going to do 12 of them. Now this is just assuming that you know these stitches. I do have a beginners, absolute beginners playlist. I have a right-handed one and a left-handed one, so I'll put links at that for those at the end. So if you want to familiarize yourself with this, if you just fast forward to the end, do that first and then come back, because I'm not going to show how to do the stitches. It takes a bit too long-winded for the video. So I'm going to pause it and I'll catch up with you once I've completed 12 of these, and I'll come back and show you what to do next. Okay, so I have 12, and if you get confused you can always count the V's all the way around to make sure that you've got them. And then I just pull on this tail. You don't have to do it mega tight yet, you can leave that until the end. So we're going to just drop that tail down, and now we're going to join with a slip stitch into the very first one, and we've completed our ring. You can cinch it closed now or later, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go straight in to this stitch here that I've just slip stitched into, and I'm going to do 2 in there. I'm not going to chain, don't need to. Just don't make your first stitch mega tight. And I'm going to do 2 in each one all the way around. So we will have 24 when we get back round again. So we're just increasing in every single stitch. Nice and simple. Okay, so I'm going to pause it then because it's boring to watch me do that, and I will catch up with you once I've gone all the way around and I get to my last stitch, and I'm going to do 2 in there, and then I'll come back to you and tell you what to do next. Okay, so now I'm all the way round and I'm going to slip stitch into my first stitch, which is this one. It's lying slightly, so I'm going to pop my hook in and just get that tail out of the way because it likes to get in the way. I left a really long one to sew it in. Okay, so I've joined with a slip stitch. Now we're not going to do any more increasing at all. Okay, we're just going to do 1 in every single stitch all the way around, including the one that we've just gone into. And so we will have 24 stitches all the way through this project. Okay, so we're just going to do 1 in this one and 1 in every single stitch around, and we're going to join with a slip stitch just as we have, and we're going to do this for a total. Not that we're going to make a total of 9 rounds, but we want 9 rounds in total. So from this point here, I haven't sewn my ends in, and I haven't sewn this one in yet, so it's still a hole. But from that one we want 9 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that will take us up to here. So I'm going to pause it then, and I'm going to continue not without any further shaping, just joining with a slip stitch and carrying on until I have a total of 9 rounds altogether. So eventually after this row it will start to cup, and that is perfectly fine. I will carry on and show you this row with you so that you can see how it's meant to look, and it's not a mistake or anything. It's perfectly fine. We just do 1 in each. And if you're familiar with making a hat, it will be exactly the same principle, only on a much smaller scale. It will start, you can see it's starting to cup now. That's what we want it to do. It's not a problem. It's how we're going to just work in the round. We're not sewing the side up or anything else. We're just going to continue going all the way round, and we want it to make this part along here. So it's perfectly fine for it to do that. Okay, so as I said, I'm going to pause this video and I'll catch up with you once I've just got to the end of my 9th round. But what we want to do is pop it in this way, because obviously if we allowed it to keep cupping in this direction, we would be looking at the inside. So we want to pop that round like that when we join. And so I'm finding it hard to get into there with the camera in between, but never mind, I can do it. So now we're going to join with a slip stitch, and we're going to carry on, and we're going to keep it this way so that we're working with our outside, with our right side facing us. Okay then, I'll pause it now and I'll catch up with you once I've done my 9 rounds. Okay, so I've done my 9. I'm all the way round to the beginning. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a stacked double crochet, or a stacked single crochet if you're in the US. So I'm going to insert my hook back where I was, yarn over and pull up a loop. Going to yarn over and pull through 2. I think I might have split that yarn. There we go. And then in this side loop here, I'm just going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both of those. So I've made a stack stitch rather than a 2 chain. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to skip 1 stitch and do a UK treble or a US double crochet in that space. And I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to skip 1, and I'm going to do 1 in the next space. Now Some people would prefer, I think, if you just did one in every stitch, and then you can weave your tie in and out of each stitch. But because I did with this one, I did the space, that's what I'm going to do. I think with this one, I did it to show you how it would look if you just did a UK treble or US double in every single stitch, and then you weave your tail, or your tie, should I say, in and out of those stitches. So it's completely your preference. You can do either this way, where you've got no gaps, and you just make one UK treble, which is a US double crochet, in every single stitch, and weave the tie once we've done it in and out, in and out. Or you can do it like I have in this one. It makes no difference. You can do it either way. You can put ribbon through here. You can do anything you want, but I'm just going to make a crocheted tie, which I would recommend taking out when you wash them and then putting it back, just to keep it nice looking. But if you'd rather use a ribbon or something like that, then that's fine. So because I made this one with the space, I'm going to continue making this particular one with the space, because it's the pair. So I'm skip one and one in the next. I'm going to do that all the way around. Skip one, one in the next one. It won't take me long to get round, so there's no point really in pausing. Just don't forget your chain if you are doing it this way. With a camera in between, I never split my yarn, but for the moment, working with a camera in between me, I don't think my hook is in the correct kind of alignment as I normally would, and I find I am. Just recently, that's happening. Okay, so I'm nearly round. I don't think I've got very much left. No, here we are. So this is my last one. I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to join into the top of my stack stitch. So remember, there's a chain between, so it's this stitch here. I'm going to just slip stitch into there. Okay, so now I'm all the way around, and this is what it looks like. So what I'm going to do now is one UK half treble or half double in every single stitch, including this one. So there's my first one in this stack stitch, and one in the gap, one in the post, and one in the gap. So this is going to bring our stitch count back to where it was. Nice and easy, just the same as on the previous rows. One in the post, one in the hole. So I'm going to carry on doing that, and I'm going to join with a slip stitch when I get back to here. So I'm going to pause it now, and I'll catch up with you when I get back to the start. Okay, so I'm all the way round. I'm now just going to join that with the slip stitch, and now I'm going to do my little row of picots. And I do my picots a little different to some people, and they're ever so easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 3, and then in my very first chain I'm just going to insert my hook into that chain, and I'm going to yarn over and pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through both of those. I'm going to skip one and then slip stitch into the next stitch. I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going into the first one, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both of those, skip one, and then slip stitch into the next stitch. And I'm going to do that all the way around, and there's just enough stitches for me to do that, and that's what they look like. So I'm going to carry on all the way around, and I will catch up with you when I get back to the start again. Okay, so I'm on my last one. and I've got to skip one, and in the very first stitch I'm going to do my slip stitch. Now I'm going to do one chain, cinch it right down, pull it tight, and I'm going to end off. So I'm going to leave a nice long tail for sewing in, pull that out, and then I'll eventually sew that in, and we'll get rid of that for now. I still need to sew on all my ends. So here we are. This is what it looks like now, and we're going to make a tie, but I'm going to use a larger hook to crochet my tie. Where's my hook? Let's have a look. That's a 5. There's my 4.5. So I'm just going to use a 4.5 for now, and I'm going to make a slip knot. You can do that however you want. Now when I do my ties, I pull it really tight and I just cut my yarn. So I can understand if you don't want to do them this way, but I've never had any unravel on me yet. Right, so I'm going to do a chain of 50. Nice and simple. Just a chain of 50. So I'm going to pause the video because I will lose count if I'm talking, and it's really boring to just watch me chaining without talking. So you want to do 50 chain, not very tight, but not mega loose either, just normal. Okay, so I've done my 50 chain. I'm just going to leave a nice long tail, and I'm going to just do one, cinch it down, pull it out. Okay, so before I cut my ends off, I always make the mistake of cutting them off and then having to try and fiddle them through. So I'm going to just join to a sewing darning needle. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the middle one. So I'm going to count it through. So there we go. Between the middle one, I'm just going to go in and out of these 2 spaces, and just going to do that all the way around. Be careful not to pull it all the way through. It's quite simple just to do it. If you have cut your yarn, it doesn't matter. It's quite easy to get through. Less easy obviously when you have gone in every single stitch with your UK trebles. So this is all I do. I just find the knot and go a little way down and snip it off, but I have to pull it really tight, make sure it's not going to go anywhere, and I'll leave a little tiny tuft, not very much at all. That's all I do to close them off. So now all we do is make a little bow, and we have a matching pair. So yeah, if you wanted to, you can do it either way with the join part here. So there we are, got 2, got matching pair. That's how I've made these. And don't forget, if you just do the same stitches, exactly the same, but you use thicker yarn with a bigger crochet hook. So this was a 3.5, this was a 4.5, and this was a 5. Haven't sewn any of my ends in yet, so I'm off now to get those done and to make the other pair to these 2. Thank you for watching. I hope that was nice and easy for you, and I'll see you on the next one. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now. Incidentally, before I go, if you did want to know where to get any of the things that I've been using, the hooks, the scissors, the darning needles and the yarn, there are links in the description box below.